Senate will come to order. Mr. Majors, would you please call the roll?
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill,
Excused.
Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafales, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Humenick, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Tate, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods. Mr. President.
Here, with 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused, we have a quorum. Would those in the chamber and our guests in the gallery please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, members and guests. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal for Tuesday, March 22nd be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved and the journal is adopted. Committee reports.
March 22nd, 2016, Committee on Finance, subject to consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1297 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. March 22nd, 2016, Committee on Finance, subject to consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1187 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 22nd, 2016, Committee on Finance, subject to consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1269 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 22nd, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1169 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation placed on the consent calendar. March 22nd, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1231 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
March 23rd, 2016, quickly printed Senate Bill 171, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 100, 133, 145, and 151, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bill 134, correctly revised House Bills 1030, 1098, 1103, 1149, 1184, 1229, and 1247, correctly re-revised House Bills 1066, 1152, 1157, 1165, 1176, 1189, 1192, correctly enrolled Senate Joint Resolutions 15 and 16, and Senate Resolution 3.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that the Senate proceed out of order for the purpose of proceeding to the consideration of resolutions calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 2?
Senate Joint Resolution 2 by Senators Baumgardner and Merrifield and Representatives Hamner and Thurlow concerning the recognition of Colorado firefighters killed in the line of duty.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate lay over Senate Joint Resolution 2 to the end of the consideration of resolutions calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 2 will lay over till the end of the consideration of resolutions calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 24?
Senate Joint Resolution 24 by Senator Roberts and Representatives Quorum and Brown concerning the remembrance of Ute history in Colorado and in connection therewith honoring the culture and heritage of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 24 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas the original inhabitants of North America, American Indians, have played a unique and distinguished role in our nation's history and culture through vital contributions to government, medicine, education, religion, architecture, environment, and the military. And whereas the Ute tribes are a confederation of 7 bands, Moach, Capote, Weminuche, Tabiwach, White River, Yampa, and Uinta bands that make up 3 tribal nations today. Whereas the state of Colorado recognizes its oldest continuous residents, the Southern Ute Indian tribe of Ignacio, Colorado, and the Ute Mountain Ute tribe of Tohono, Colorado. And whereas the state of Colorado recognizes the key role to the history of this state that the Ute nations have provided and continue to provide. And whereas the state of Colorado continues to support the 2 Colorado Ute tribes in their own efforts to increase public safety, education, healthcare, and economic development on their reservations while strengthening our state and tribal government-to-government relationship. And whereas the Ute Tribes History Colorado Center and the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs established a precedent-setting state bureau protocol that addresses the cultural sensitivities and awareness when dealing with Native American human remains. And whereas today the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and the Southern Ute Indian Tribe are the largest employers of both Montezuma, La Plata, and Archuleta counties, along with holdings on the eastern slope of Colorado and throughout the nation. And whereas the state of Colorado honors the contributions and sovereignty of both the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, and encourages its citizens to actively seek knowledge about the history and heritage of the Ute people in this state, past, present, and future. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 70th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the General Assembly, celebrate and honor the rich and storied heritage of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, who have called Colorado and its neighboring states home since time immemorial, and that we endeavor to maintain strong, respectful relations between Colorado's state and local governments and the sovereign Indian nations with whom we share this state. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, Lieutenant Governor Joseph Garcia, Chairman Manuel Hart, Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, and Chairman Clement Frost, the Southern Ute Indian Tribe.
Colleagues, please be seated. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to bring this resolution. We do this each year, but I think it's important for many people who don't spend a lot of time in southwestern Colorado to know that we have 2 thriving Indian reservations in the southwest corner, Southern Ute and Ute Mountain Ute, and we welcome you down to our corner. We would like to share their heritage with you, but also to reflect the fact that we have a future together as well. So we are very fortunate to have that rich heritage. We have the Colorado Commission on Indian Affairs. There is a meeting this week. Ernest House, who I think is over in the other house right now, but Ernest is the executive director of the Indian Commission, and he himself is a Ute, Mountain Ute member, and his father was a tribal chairman there. So again, we have a very rich history from the Ute folks, but I also want you to know that we are working together today, but also to a future together. So with that, I would renew my motion for Senate Joint Resolution 24.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 24. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 24 is adopted. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request the use of the present roll call as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to introduce the chamber to some special guests that we have here today, both for the blessing as well as the resolution. And we're joined here today by Southern Ute Indian Tribal Council Chairman Clement Frost and Councilwoman Amy Berry. And we also have Southern Ute royalty with us, Kristen Weaver, who is Little Miss Southern Ute 2015-2016. 2016. She might be hard to see, but she has a most unique dressing today that I hope you can all see and appreciate. So just like to, we were also joined by a number of other tribal members with us, but I'd like to really highlight those three. So please help me in welcoming them to our chamber.
I just wanted to share that while you were saying the prayer this morning, that although we did not understand most of the words, I didn't understand any of them, but nonetheless, my spirit was moved by what you said. And I was thinking how humbled we are to have you here today, and how honored we are all to live in the land of your ancestors, and we'll continue to share and cherish their legacy, and hopefully will be our legacy as well with yours. And thank you for being here today. Colleagues, we will stand in a brief recess to welcome our special guests. The Senate will come back to order. Please add Senator Hill to the roll. Which takes us back to consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Joint Resolution 2?
Senate Joint Resolution 2 by Senators Baumgartner and Merrifield and Representatives Hamner and Thurlow concerning the recognition of Colorado firefighters killed in the line of duty.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 16002 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas more than 12,000 career and volunteer firefighters comprise the Colorado Fire Service, and whereas personnel of the Colorado Fire Service respond to more than 500,000 calls for help each year, often placing themselves directly in harm's way for the safety of others. And whereas fire services personnel are often the first to respond to an emergency, whether it involves a fire, medical emergency, spill of hazardous materials, natural disaster, act of terrorism, or transportation accident. And whereas approximately 100 fire and emergency services personnel die annually in the line of duty in the United States. And whereas most recently the following firefighters have given their lives in service of the people of Colorado. Richard Lee Marchman, a volunteer firefighter for the Indian Peaks Fire Protection District, collapsed and died on July 9, 2014, after assisting in the rescue of a hiker with a broken ankle. Willard Clapper, a volunteer firefighter for the Aspen Fire Protection District, died on October 16, 2014, after battling lymphoma, which was determined to be line of duty under Colorado's presumptive cancer law. John Whelan, a firefighter for the Denver Fire Department, died on July 16, 2015, from injuries sustained during firefighting activities. Greg Moylanen, a firefighter with the North Metro Fire Rescue District and formerly of the Foothills Fire Protection District, died on October 8, 2015, after a 2-year battle with cancer. And whereas the Colorado Fallen Firefighters Memorial in Lakewood contains the names of 145 firefighters who have fallen while working to protect lives and property in Colorado. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 70th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, honor and pay tribute to the ultimate sacrifice paid by these fallen firefighters, and express our sympathy to the families and friends of those service members who have died. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Ken Watkins, President, Colorado State Fire Chiefs, Mike Rogers, President of the Colorado Professional Firefighters, Paul Cook, Director of the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control, Eric Tade, Fire Chief, Denver Fire Department, David Ramos, Fire Chief, North Metro Fire Rescue District, Norman Bowers, Fire Chief, Indian Peaks Fire Protection District, Rick Ballantine, Fire Chief of the Aspen Fire Protection District, and Brian Zorro, Fire Chief of Foothills Fire Protection District.
Colleagues and guests, please be seated. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. You might be aware, I'm sure that you are, that over the past 3 years, 2 of the most destructive fires in Colorado's history occurred down in El Paso County, and one of them in my Senate district. So I saw firsthand the dedication and the courage of firefighters. So I'm honored and humbled to have this opportunity to be a co-sponsor on this resolution. When there are fires, explosions, and disasters, most people run away from the flames. It's our natural instinct to seek safety. However, firefighters run towards them with grit, with courage, with self-sacrifice every day. Without hesitation, these heroes run towards the danger to save lives. And many times they give the ultimate sacrifice for us. We should never forget this. In my city of Colorado Springs, not too far from my home, sits Memorial Park. And in the northwest corner of that park is a bronze statue that towers 20 feet into the air. And it shows a ladder with a firefighter descending it. One arm is raised high above his head, grasping a rung, and he's looking down to his other arm. In that arm, he's cradling a baby. And that statue is named Somewhere Every Day. It epitomizes the courage and bravery displayed daily by firefighters across Colorado and this country. and a wall surrounds the paving stones where the statue sits. Etched into that granite are the names of the IAFF firefighters who have given their lives in the line of duty. Heroes forever remembered in stone. And yet, if you ask any one of them, they probably would have described themselves as just ordinary people. Ordinary people doing the work they believed in, carrying on a tradition as old as this state, as this country itself. There's a humility about being a firefighter. From the plains to the mountains to the city streets, those that we honor with this resolution live by a code and a principle that binds us together as a people, that I am my brother's keeper, that I am my sister's keeper, that we take care of one another, we help one another, we look out for one another, that there is something bigger than our own lives that we have to be true to. Today we honor the men and women of Colorado who lived their lives by that creed, who stood beside us, who protected us, and those who recently have given their lives for us. Even as we honor these heroes, we know that their work is carried on every single day by firefighters across Colorado with that same courage, dedication, humility, and love for the job that they do. This resolution, however, is also to pay tribute to the families of these individuals, to every mother and father, spouse and child who has waited for their loved one to come home at the end of the shift. All of them are united by a bond of strength and sacrifice. And for the families of the fallen throughout Colorado and here with us today on the Senate floor, we know that a resolution, that simple words cannot ease your pain. I hope it helps just a little to know that the people of our state stand with you to honor your loved ones. We admire them. We cherish the work that they did. Your families are in our hearts and our thoughts, and we offer you our deepest condolences and our everlasting gratitude. Thank you.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as the firefighters in this state, as we'd heard previous, they go out to all types of calls. They never know what it's going to be when they go out, whether it's going to be a building, whether it's going to be a forest fire, and they put their life on the line every time they go out. And again, they never know what it could be. It could be an automobile accident. But as firefighters, they take that on, they take that oath, they take that obligation on themselves to go out and rescue or make someone's life better or save someone else's life without any regard for theirs whatsoever. We talked about the people that are here today. Some of the members of the families of one of the firefighters could not be with us today, and wanted to make sure that they, whether they're listening online or whether they're watching, that they are also remembered here today, as well as the ones that are here today, and we welcome them here as well. We take for granted a lot of times when we're out and about, when we're on our way to work, that these men and women are always out trying to protect life and property and make sure that we're protected from all types of fire or any type of conditions to where we need them to be there for us, and they just do it. So with that, I again move SJR 16002 and ask for an aye vote.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this resolution. I want to tell a quick little story. Those of you who have had this experience, I was privileged to be able to be part of the Fire Operations 101 down in the Littleton Inglewood area, and it is a remarkable experience if you ever have a chance to do it. I always thought firefighters were those, the good folks. You always knew that they had a good sense of humor. They're always volunteering for something. And I really didn't get on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis, what they do. And this Fire Ops 101, you go in and you get in your bunker gear, Now, they didn't have any my size, but they helped me with that. But they put you in the whole gear, and you walk through exercises in their training facility. And at first, it's just a call that is a medical response, and it was just a call like for a diabetic. And I've had to call the paramedics for my friend who is a diabetic, and that is just amazing how fast they act. And I had seen that. But the next part of going through and literally sitting as they're describing how fire works, and how it operates in buildings and in open spaces, the science behind it is amazing. And you're sitting there, and literally 5 feet next to you, all of a sudden, it's 1,500 degrees in that room with the fire next to you, and walking and crawling through the spaces in the dark. It is amazing the work that they do every day, and the sacrifices that they make. So I just want to give a big shout out to my Littleton Fire folks and all of those throughout the state who every single day risk their lives for us. So thank you, and thank you to the families who also share in that sacrifice.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do this every year. I'm glad a number of people are sponsoring it. I think it's important. A couple years ago, I talked about the Granite Mountain Hot Shots, where 19 firefighters were killed in Arizona, and I brought in a retired fire shelter to give people a sense of the risk. Firefighters pejoratively call those shake and bake. But if you've ever done a training and gotten in one of those things, you wonder why in the world you're doing what you're doing. But what was interesting to me is that I looked at this list of people, and this Richard Lee Marchman jumped out at me. A volunteer firefighter for Indian Peaks Fire Protection District collapsed and died July 9, 2014, after assisting the rescue of a hiker with a broken ankle. I think what we don't totally remember and acknowledge as much as we should are volunteer firefighters in the state, and they're all over the place. And they are people that don't have to do this work and do it out of civic pride. And this gentleman was a good example of that. They're on a rescue mission at Blue Lake Trail. That's up by Ward, by Brainerd. Anybody been to Brainerd Lake? You know the area. And when he collapsed and died, although he was with fellow EMTs who had been on the rescue, efforts to revive him were not successful. This is from the Mountaineer newspaper up in Nederland. Marchman was a member of the Indian Peaks Fire Protection District and the Islands Park Fire Department. The call for assistance on rescuing a woman who had broken her ankle came around noon. They called out the whole Army. They called out Indian Peaks, Nederland, Rocky Mountain Rescue. You ever been around a rescue group? Those people are amazing. AMR Ambulance, A Flight for Life, the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. And they went to the Blue Lake Trailhead. They hiked 2.5 miles up the trail to Catherine Powell. The rescuers asked for a helicopter to transport the patient because of the rugged terrain. She was treated at the scene and then moved to accessible landing area where she was loaded and flown to Good Samaritan Hospital. Once the chopper was on its way, the firefighters started back down the trail. When they were about a mile from Blue Lake Trailhead, Marchman collapsed. CPR was initiated, but the firefighter was unresponsive, and he was pronounced deceased at the scene. Those kinds of rescue operations happen fairly routinely. I don't know if people realize that. But a lot of times I don't think people understand the story of some of these people, and I think we should do that for Dick Marchman. He's from Florida, and like a lot of people in this area, he was in the Air Force and was stationed at Lowry. And he came to love the area and stay around. He was a technical instructor, and he started a communication business where he worked on two-way radios and emergency phone systems. He spent 50 years as a ham operator. We've been talking about using them in firefighting, and 25 years as an EMT for Islands Park and Indian Peaks. He was liked by everyone in the emergency service field as an outstanding firefighter and a friend. and the camaraderie is really great. And the funny thing about firefighting is that you assess how good people are on your crew, and you know who to trust. And that's like the biggest recognition you could give to somebody. I still do it, by the way, around here. See, that same thinking. But Rebecca Lawrence, a longtime friend of Marchman, said he was an asset to the mountain community fire departments. This is what I liked. He was always first to the scene, and you knew you could rely on him. He was knowledgeable and professional. So he is typical of volunteer firefighters. He's 66. There's a picture of him. He's been around a while. And he's still trying to help other people. And so it's fitting that we recognize people like that because he's emblematic of many people across the state.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. This will be my last chance to do this, but a quick personal story. On March 5th, 1978, my wife and our 3 kids drove me to the airport to get on a plane for a business trip. And when they returned home, the fire engines were just leaving our home. Our house had burnt to the ground. And our daughter ran out of the car and ran up to a fireman and said, "Were you able to save my bird, my canary?" And immediately the fireman said to her, "Young lady, I saw that bird fly out of that window, and I'm sure that bird is safe." And our daughter, as my wife said, turned to my wife and said, Mommy, the bird is okay." And that was all right. That was one volunteer fireman who basically changed a little girl's life. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Senator Baumgartner? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 2. A roll call has been requested. Mr. Majors, would you please perform a roll call, and out of respect and reverence for those who have sacrificed for us, the Senate chimes will ring as we call the roll.
Senators Aguilar. Aguilar, aye. Baumgartner.
Aye.
Baumgartner, aye. Carroll. Carroll, aye. Cook. Cook, aye. Crowder. Crowder, aye. Donovan. Donovan, aye. Garcia. Garcia, aye. Grantham. Grantham, aye. Guzman. Guzman, aye. Heath. Heath, aye. Hill. Hill, aye. Hodge. Hodge, aye. Holbert. Holbert, aye. John. John, aye. Johnston. Johnston, aye. Jones. Jones, aye. Kafalis. Kafalis, aye. Kerr. Kerr, aye. Lambert. Lambert, aye. Lundberg. Lundberg, aye. Marble. Marble, aye. Martinez-Umenick. Martinez-Umenick, aye. Merrifield.
Aye.
Merrifield, aye. Neville. Neville, aye. Newell. Newell, aye. Roberts. Roberts, aye. Scheffel. Scheffel, aye. Scott. Scott, aye. Sonnenberg. Sonnenberg, aye. Stedman. Stedman, aye. Tate. Tate, aye. Todd. Todd, aye. Ulibarri. Ulibarri, aye. Woods. Woods, aye. Mr. President.
Aye.
Mr. President, aye.
35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Joint Resolution 2 is adopted. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just would ask that the morning roll call be added as sponsors, co-sponsors.
Without objection, the morning roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Colleagues, we will, Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. My own personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I'd like to introduce the family members of the fallen firefighters. We have Susan, the wife of Richard Marchman. We also have Linda and Mike Harnard and Richard from Indian Peak Fire Protection. We also have Rebecca Lawrence and Sherry Whelan, who is the wife of Richard, or of the firefighter Whelan. So if you could, please welcome them to the chamber.
Senator Baumgartner.
Mr. President, I think I speak for everyone in here. Our condolences for the loss of your family members. We all want to thank you for your service and their service.
Thank you, colleagues. The Senate will stand in a recess so that we can welcome our special guests. The Senate will come back to order. Colleagues, could we just one more time thank our guests for joining us this morning? These are tough mornings. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 145 by Senators Baumgartner and Donovan and Representatives Mitch Bush and Willie, considering an alternative mechanism for creating a subdistrict of the Colorado River Water Conservation District. House Bill 1184 by Representative Rankin and Senator Grantham, concerning the administration of money that is required under existing law to be transferred from the high cost support mechanism to the broadband fund. House Bill 1103 by Representatives Kraft, Arp, and Landgraf, and Senators Martinez, Minnick, and Todd, concerning clarifying license pathways for the mental health professional workforce.
Unless she's voting no.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move a call of the Senate.
Call of the Senate has been moved. It has been sustained. Colleagues, sergeants, would you please secure the doors, retrieve the senators, and Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan,
We're good.
Garcia, Grantham.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the call be raised.
Without objection, the call will be raised. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adopt all the bills listed on the third reading of bills for final passage consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 145, House Bill 1184, and House Bill 1103.
You have heard the motion. Is there further discussion on any of the bills? Seeing none, are there any no votes on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 145 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Woods, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Roberts, Senator Scott, Senator Merrifield, Senator Hodge, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Jones, Senator Tate, Senator Crowder, Senator Heath, Senator Garcia, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1184 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Scott, Senator Donovan, with 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1103 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Heath, Senator Aguilar, Senator Merrifield, Senator Woods, Senator Kerr, Senator Tate, Senator Newell, third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1149?
House Bill 1149 by Representative Milne and Senator Newell concerning a requirement that the Executive Board of a Common Interest Committee be created in Colorado before July 1, 1992, comply with the budget reporting provision in the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1149 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1149. Are there any no votes? Senator Hill. Senator Martinez-Humenick. With 33 ayes, 2 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1149 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Heath, Senator Carroll, Senator Kerr, Senator Kafalis. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 100?
Senate Bill 100 by Senator John and Representative Pabon concerning requirements that a county must meet before reducing the mill levy for its road and bridge fund.
Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 100 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 100. Are there any no votes? Senator Baumgardner. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 100 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Heath, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Carroll, Senator Todd, Senator Jones, Senator Newell. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1030?
House Bill 1030 by Representatives Brown and Court and Senator Donovan concerning the use of off-highway vehicles.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1030 on third reading and final passage and respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1030. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1030 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Heath, Senator Roberts, Senator Scott, Senator Johnston, Senator Hill, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 151?
Senate Bill 151 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representatives Brown and Vigil concerning the right of Coloradans to hunt wildlife and in connection therewith establishing hunting as a primary means of managing wildlife.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 151 on third reading and final passage.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 151. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones? Senator Ulibarri? Minority Leader Guzman? Senator Heath? Senator Newell, Senator Aguilar, with 29 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 151 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Marble, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Baumgardner, Senator John, Senator Holbert, Senator Lambert, Senator Merrifield, Senator Garcia, Senator Lundberg, Senator Neville, Senator Donovan, Senator Roberts, Senator Crowder, Senator Scott, Senator Cook, Senator Grantham, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Woods, Senator Hill, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1229?
House Bill 1229 by Representative Rankin and Senator Stedman concerning modification of the means of repayment for certain ongoing financial obligations incurred by the state in order to fund capital construction projects for state-supported institutions of higher education.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1229 on third reading and final passage and suggest the use of the present roll call.
Is there further discussion or suggestions? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1229. Are there any no votes? The current roll call will be used. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1229 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Lambert, please have the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1098?
House Bill 1098 by Representative Lawrence Senator Newell concerning updates to provisions related to school discipline reporting.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1098 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1098. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1098 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Johnston, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Merrifield, Senator Stedman, Senator Todd, Senator Kerr, Senator Hill, Senator Kafalis, Senator Heath, Senator Lambert, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 133?
Senate Bill 133 by Senator Tate and Representatives Pabon and Willett concerning the transfer of property rights upon the death of a person in connection therewith clarifying determination of heirship proceedings and probate.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 16133 on third reading and final passage.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 133. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 133 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Roberts, Senator John, Senator Scott, Senator Todd, Senator Stedman, Senator Newell, Senator Merrifield, Senator Hill, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1247?
House Bill 1247 by Representative Hamner and Senator Lambert concerning a supplemental appropriation in the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1247, third reading, final passage.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1247. Are there any no votes? Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Hill, Senator Scott, Senator Holbert, Senator Neville, Senator Marble, with 27 ayes, 8 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1247 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Newell, Senator Aguilar, Senator Merrifield, Senator Jones, Senator Heath, Senator Todd, Senator Johnson. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1093? Oh, soon. It was a test. You passed. Well, that, interestingly enough, takes us to General Order's second reading of bills, consent calendar. Anyone interested in that? Before we move to that, please welcome Senator Gibbs back to the chamber. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Tate will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. Mr. Majors, will you please read the titles to all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
House Bill 1093 by Representatives Ransom and Ryan and Senator Tate concerning the use of the National Change of Address Database to maintain voter registration records in connection with clarifying terminology and consolidating procedures for county clerks and recorders to follow when it appears that an elector has moved within the state. House Bill 1104 by Representative Rupert, Senator Cook concerning the issuance of a summons in lieu of a warrant for certain nonviolent offenders. House Bill 1182 by Representatives Corton, Durant, and Senators Cook and Heath concerning the continuation of the Commodity Metals Theft Task Force. House Bill 1270 by Representative Lee and Senator Sheffel and Heath concerning the limitation of laws governing security interests to an owner's interest in a business entity. House Bill 1073 by Representatives Durant, Del Grosso, and Senators Guzman and Sheffel concerning the qualifications of licensed electricians. House Bill 1188 by Representative Rosenthal and Senator Martinez Jimenez concerning requirements for the provision of additional public information by a separate legal entity established by contract by a combination of political subdivisions of the state.
Majority Leader Sheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee adopt all the bills listed on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar, which consists of House Bill 1093, House Bill 1104, House Bill 1182, House Bill 1270, House Bill 1073, and House Bill 1188. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the bills on the consent calendar are adopted. Majority Leader Sheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the body to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, will you please read the report?
March 24, 2016, Mr. President, the committee will hold PC report set under consideration of the following types of bills, being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1093, House Bill 1104, House Bill 1182, House Bill 1270, House Bill 1073, and House Bill 1188 passed on second reading in order to revised and placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the report.
For the motion, is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. House Bill 1093, House Bill 1104, House Bill 1182, House Bill 1270, House Bill 1073, House Bill 1188 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General orders, second reading of bill. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Tate will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 16-157?
Senate Bill 157 by Senators Cook and Sonnenberg, Representative Dorr, concerning management in the process of responding to the Federal Environmental Protection Agency's rules for the regulation of carbon dioxide emissions from electric generating units in a manner that maximizes Colorado's ability to control its affairs.
Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee lay over Senate Bill 157 to March 28th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the bill will be laid over as moved. Mr. Majors, will you please read the title to House Bill 16-1190?
House Bill 1190 by Representative Dorr and Senator Cook, concerning the use of deadly force in a detention facility.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1190, and there are no committee reports.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill removes jail cells and prison cells from the Make My Day law, and I'm sure you're having the same reaction that I had when I first heard it. I couldn't believe it, and I laughed, and then, like I said, then I was in disbelief that we need it. But evidently we do, because we had testimony from the 13th Judicial District where they wanted to charge a couple of inmates with murdering another inmate. They called in an inmate into their jail cell or prison cell, and a couple hours later they found him stabbed over 120 times and strangled. And they used the defense of Make My Day, and the judge upheld that. And then we heard testimony from the DAs down in Fremont County. And the Fremont County, they had several homicides, and the DA won't even file because of the Make My Day law. You know, these inmates can't be criminally or civilly charged, but that doesn't mean the state can't or the jails can't, because it was part of our requirements to keep a safe jail, safe prison. And so we could be losing money on lawsuits because of not keeping these people safe. So basically it just removes those jail and prison cells from the Make My Day law.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 16-1190. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the bill passes. Mr. Majors, will you please read the title to House Bill 16-1230?
House Bill 1230 by Representative Dorr and Senator Cook, concerning the inclusion of a county's financial information in the state's financial information database, which is known as the Transparency Online Project.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1230, and there are no committee reports.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a transparency bill, transparency in government. It has counties putting their budget on the tops, which is Transparency Online Project. And it's so that people can go to one-stop shopping and look at all the budgets from around the counties. If a county already has their budget online, all they have to do is provide a link to the Chief Information Officer of the state. It's, again, it's just about government transparency and a one-stop shopping for people.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 16-1230. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the bill passes. I'm just getting organized. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report. What is a badge here?
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, will you please read the report?
March 24, 2016, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basic report is added in consideration of the following tax bills, being second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1190 and House Bill 1230 passed on second reading in order to revise placed on the counter for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 157 laid over until March 28, 2016, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. House Bill 1190, House Bill 1230 passed on second reading in order to revise and place on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 157 laid over until March 28th and retaining its place on the calendar. Message from the House.
March 24, 2016, Mr. President, the House has adopted and returned to with Senate Joint Resolution 24. The House has passed on third reading Transmitted Advisory Statute. House Bill 1353 is amended and House Bill 1001 is amended.
Message from the Reviser.
March 24, 2016, we hear the transmit without comment as amended, House Bill 1001 and 1353.
Message from the Governor.
March 23, 2016, Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following acts. Senate Bill 55 concerning the pilot program for persons with spinal cord injuries relating to the use of complementary and alternative medicine in connection with making an appropriation, approved March 23, 2016 at 1:00 p.m. Senate Bill 63 concerning the authority of a local government to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with an out-of-state local government to provide critical public services, approved March 23, 2016 at 1:02 p.m. Senate Bill 89 concerning the establishment of alternative maximum reserve for the Department of State Cash Fund, approved March 23, 2016 at 12:51 a.m., 12:59 p.m. Senate Bill 90 concerning the ability of the Department of Public Health and Environment to collect data on marijuana health effects at a regional level, approved March 23, 2016 at 12:59 p.m. Senate Bill 91 concerning timing of the statewide discovery sharing system, approved March 23, 2016 at 1:02 p.m. Senate Bill 92 concerning the authorization of the state to act pursuant to the Federal Oil Pollution Act of 1990, approved March 23, 2016 at 1:03 p.m. Senate Bill 93 concerning transfer of the oversight of independent living services from the Department of Human Services to the Department of Labor and Employment, approved March 23, 2016 at 1:03 p.m. Senate Bill 95 concerning the 5-year appropriations requirement for bills that change the periods of incarceration in state correctional facilities, approved March 23, 2016 at 12:58 p.m. Senate Bill 107 concerning the regulation of voter registration drive circulators in connection with requiring circulators to complete mandatory training, approved March 23, 2016 at 12:57 p.m. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Announcements. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, committees will be meeting, and there are just a few changes to the committee schedule. In Senate Transportation, Senate Bill 140 will not be heard today. A note, Senate in Agriculture Committee, House Bill 1173 is on the calendar, but be advised of that because it was just put on the calendar before the calendar went to press. And in Health and Human Services Committee this afternoon, we are adding Senate Bill 147 and House Bill 1141. They were scheduled for yesterday's calendar, which of course did not happen. So everything else is as written.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I wanted to encourage you, if you saw the flyer that was on your desk about Black Elk Speaks, this is a play that is at the Fox Theater in Aurora. I went to see it last weekend, and maybe some of you have read the book, Black Elk Speaks. It really gives the history of Native Americans. And I would really compel you to go. You can even have dinner right before at La Cueva, have great Mexican food right before you go to the play. But it is very authentic. All of the players in the production are Native American. And when I went Sunday, we had a talk back afterwards, and our own Ernest House was participating in that in terms of the authenticity of how it is portrayed. So again, the flyer was on your desk. I encourage you. It's here this weekend and the next couple of weekends, and a great portrayal of our Native Americans. Thank you.
Further announcements or commercials? Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, two quick announcements. A number of you have been asking about tomorrow. The Senate is still scheduled to be closed tomorrow in commemoration of Good Friday, so do not come in. And also a number of you have been asking about the delay due to the snow with committee schedules and bills that we're bumping up against deadline. We're taking care of that and working with staff and committee chairs to make sure that all those bills that are going to bump up against deadline that are delayed due to the snow will in fact be extended, so you won't need to worry about that. Finally, we are going to keep the desk open to introduce some things coming over from the House. So, Mr. President, move the Senate recess to 1 p.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will be recessed until 1 p.m.